Well, it's the last evening on anchor. I'm Karl for now. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'm scheduled for hauling out. And then Karl's going to be on the heart for the hurricane season. We're on our very last stretch from Loreto on the Baja Peninsula to Guaymas, where Karl is going to be hauled out. It's roughly 120 nautical miles, and we're a couple in. There's no wind. Well, we're producing a little bit of wind, I guess, but there's not really any wind. The water's super flat. It's really, really hot. Apparently there's going to be some wind later on from the stern, and then we should have really nice sailing wind tomorrow for the last maybe 30 miles at least. And then in between, I think tonight there's going to be some clocking winds, but we'll see. We'll see.
Close your eyes, hear the voice within calling. This heavy load got under your skin, hauling. You got the white knuckles holding on it tight, keeping your feelings bottled up inside, heading for a collision in the night. To really live, you gotta die. Breathe in, breathe out. Hey, come alive. Breathe in, breathe out. Look at the colors, colors, colors. Round.
Kommt ein bisschen Wind, glaube ich. Holy moly, it's another 3 miles to go to our last anchorage, and the wind is picking up, and we're having a pretty nice last sail. Doing like roughly 5 knots and zooming in. Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be some funneling, so I'm going to go and see if I have to reach them. 1,600 miles, and we were mostly motoring, and now like the last stretch we have some wind, and it's funneling here over the mountains, and it's like going up and down and round, and it's nearly coming from the back, so we have to be careful not to do an accidental dive. So yeah, we're getting a last little sailing experience before packing. Let's get all away for the hurricane season. Good thing I had been thinking like, oh, you know, I should probably reef out just to get some nice footage of the last sail. And I was like, what's kind of choppy over there? So it's good we didn't have the full sails out because we're going into the 20s shortly. Now there's like nothing.
Moments pass, make this one count. Untie. You're so good at dragging yourself down. Why? Well, there ain't much time left to figure things out. Deep underneath all the laser, your doubts. There's a heart gone out of rhythm in despair. Hell underwater, fine for air. Breathe in, breathe out. Hey, come alive. Breathe in, breathe out. Look at the colors, colors, colors around, around, around.
How much?
We're not quite there yet, so you know we still have 3.5 miles to go to the marina, but we're pretty close. My mom just sent me a message saying, "Aren't you a day early?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." But I don't think I've ever been anywhere a day early. But we're here the day that we're supposed to be here. Oh. Can we have an anchor drink now? These past weeks have flown by in a whirlwind. It felt too short, but I've savored every moment. As we dropped the hook near our final destination, we celebrated with a Patreon group call, a chance to reflect on the season that's now behind us. This is Florian.
Hey.
My crew. And my friend Paul was just sending me a message saying, "Hey, cool, you made it." And he's like, "Well, so how are you feeling, like, you know, about the speed of this voyage?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not so sure." It was way too fast. If you'd like to be part of special moments like that, don't forget to join us on Patreon. Now it's time to take down the sails and prepare Karl for dry storage. With the sun setting on the horizon, I can't help but feel a bit of bittersweet nostalgia. It's that familiar mix of fulfillment and melancholy that always comes at the end of a journey. Well, it's the last evening on anchor on Karl for now. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'm scheduled for hauling out, and then Karl's going to be on the Heart for the hurricane season. We've traveled roughly 1,600 nautical miles in the past 11 weeks, which is like an average of, 20 miles a day, I think? Definitely a pace that I'm not quite used to, and frankly, it's not my preferred speed of traveling. But nevertheless, I did want to move the boat this season, and because of some of the work with In Motion and the nonprofit that I'm running, I got delayed quite a bit for my departure, so my season was fairly short, 3 months. But on the way north, there isn't a lot of marinas that are within the affordable range for my budget, so I had to truck quite a way north. And somehow it was a season that was quite different to my other sailing seasons. Well, there was definitely a lot of motoring because the winds were not favorable or non-existent. So that was one thing. But also, this was, I think, the first season that I didn't feel like doing it solo. I've had crew before, obviously, but most of the time it was a decision out of a necessity. For example, when Simon was joining, that was because I was still thinking about doing the crossing, and I didn't want to do the crossing alone out of safety reasons. And then eventually there were the holes in the hull, so even though I didn't do the crossing, I wanted to have someone on board because I was worried that the plate I had welded between the keels might come off, and then I would be by myself, and that would be quite a safety thing. And then when David joined, it was in Ecuador sailing back to Panama, and that was just right after my surgery. And my foot wasn't really at a point yet that I felt that I should be single-handing. So that's why I had David on board for 2 months. I was still battling with, the time on the boat that I wanted for myself and actually having someone on board. I had the strong feeling that I wanted to have the time where I single-hand the boat. Whereas this season, I honestly did not feel like single-handing. I didn't feel like I wanted it. So I was different. I definitely felt different about having someone on board this time. And it's probably because I have been on quite the personal journey throughout the past year, working through a lot of stuff from my past. And so yeah, I think that was different this season, and it's been very beautiful. I'm very, very grateful for this change. And Flo and I will be traveling back to Europe together with Boga, and then we're actually gonna go to his parents' house and pick up his dog, and then we're gonna venture to the Netherlands because we're gonna look at one of the canal boats. Yeah, so I'm feeling a little bit weird because I'm not sure when I'm gonna be back. There's the houseboat, and then there's also some plans potentially of jumping ship and joining Flo on his boat, Santana, for a bit, Halberg Rossi. So I'm feeling all sorts of things. I'm feeling sad that, putting Karl on the heart or leaving him is always something that is difficult for me. And I always feel that in the moment when I'm leaving, it's when I feel that things are running best and I don't want to go and I don't want to leave. But there is those other plans, and I'm super excited about the houseboat project too. And I think that it will give my life a new balance of, having that little place somewhere that is a bit more stable, a bit more to nurture my roots, and to have a place where I can live a little less anxiety induced. It just feels like a big new adventure, a new step. There's a lot of unknown things about it. And it feels, although there is going to be a lot of changes, there's a lot of uncertainty, I do feel it's all good changes, and I'm feeling that my life is going into a good direction, and I think it's done me really good to step back a little bit. These last 2 months I've stepped back from emotion because I just wanted to focus on being with Karl and spending some time with Flo and Boga and Karl, and just all the, obviously still working, but I was taking a bit more time for myself, and that has done me really good, and I'm really grateful for the time. So although I was kind of like rushing through Mexico, I feel that within my heart I was at ease, and at heart I was slowing down, and I was allowing myself to feel a lot of things that I might not have allowed myself to feel in the past. And it's been a really special time, and a lot of that because of Flo. To be honest, it would have been very different without him, and I'm very happy that I asked him to come back. It's been a good decision. A very good decision. It looks like it doesn't matter that we're slightly late. We were like 10 minutes late because there's still a boat inside the lift, and it seems to have no motor because they're like there with a panga, and I think they're trying to move it out or something. But we're scheduled right after that, and I did finally reach them over the cell phone, and I'm supposed to go through this little buoy entrance thing and then straight into the lift. This marina is, well, it's not really a marina. It's really just a dry storage and work area because there's no docks or anything. But it's cheap. I think it's $160 a month. And then the haul out one way is $200 as far as I think that's about right. The only problem is if you have a deep draft, then this is probably not for you because right now I'm like in 2.2, but it just went down to 1.8, so the entrance is a little shallow. I guess if you have more draft, then you can only come in at high tide. We're good for this, but some might not. We found a little food stall here on the road and we are having some quesadillas and of course a beer. Well, Flo doesn't do beer, so he's doing...
Ginger ale.
Wow, that was nice. I've never seen that before. So Karl's up on the hide and I'm starving and I'm thirsty, so... Cheers.
And by the way, it's morning.
Why does that matter?
It doesn't.
Everything is kind of packed. It's super last minute as usual, but cleaned the engine room, cleaned the fridge, put up the tarps, cleaned the cockpit. Now it's time to lock up, and I think our cab's already waiting. So this is gonna be a quick goodbye. Hi. And all there's left to say. And all there's left to say is more about that next time.